Saturday night is party night in the capital of booze. When the pubbers and clubbers pour out onto the streets of London, there's a hidden danger in the food they may eat. Some street vendors are licensed and are subject to strict health and safety legislation, but many are not. Selling hot dogs illegally doesn't matter? Yes, it does. The man in charge of stopping the dodgy dealers is Westminster Inspector Mitch Matthews Dublin.
Our offices are situated just over Leicester Square. I can tell that we've got one or two spotters outside our building. These are characters that work along with illegal street traders, and they come to watch us preparing so that they can see how many officers are on duty. So that means that we're going to have a lot of hot dogs trolleys out there tonight, and looks like there's going to be a lot of fun and games.
Mitch is about to engage in an extraordinary game of cat and mouse. Some road rickshaw drivers are involved. They're used as spotters, helping Mr. Hot Dog to stay one step ahead of Mitch and his team. In Piccadilly, Mitch spots the spotters spotting him.
There you go. What they're doing now is they're actually blending into the crowd now. The one down there on the guy on the phone, he's known to us as an illegal street trader.
But that's the game. It means the mice have come out to play, and Mitch knows where to look.
Westminster being a very old part of Britain, of the UK, and this has been having a medieval layout. Actually, if we sneak around here, you'll find we've got a hot dog trolley. Come and take a look at this. Is this your trolley?
It's not my trolley, it's my friend's trolley, isn't it?
So is this your trolley?
It's not my trolley, it's my friend's trolley.
Okay, and who's your friend?
Mr. Hot Dog doesn't work on his own.
Is he?
The trolleys are all put onto the street from a single van.
November 2 to all city inspectors. Can you come down to Apple Tree Yard?
The trolley will have to be removed. The culprit won't only lose it,
Jesus Christ!
he may have to pay his boss £50 in compensation.
Where are you going?
I'm going, it's not mine, isn't it?
When Mitch takes over a trolley, he makes it safe.
It's got a gas canister inside it. And as you can see exactly what's going on here. Boxes of half-cooked sausages.
It looks horrible, and it is horrible.
Loads of bacteria growing on this. You can imagine anything that's been sitting around for hours, any meat item, it's going to have bacteria. You're going to have issues like staphylococcus, salmonella, all sorts of bacteria. It's filth, it's disgusting, and people are paying good money for this. Another reason why we have to be concerned, they use these knives to cut the onions up, yeah, but they also use these knives as weapons to protect themselves, their money and their trolleys.
The cat has already caught a mouse, and there are still hours to go. In London, Mitch is back on the trail of Mr. Hot Dog. It's a big business with some big characters.
As long as they're not trading, if they're focused on us, they're not trading, brilliant. And he's known to us. Hello, Miss.
Hello, how are you? All right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing nothing, man.
He's not doing anything. Are you going to be trading tonight?
No, I'm not working, man.
You're not working, yeah?
I'm not working. It's
Yeah?
very hot.
But you're just partying tonight, are you?
Yeah, I didn't work last night, I didn't work tonight, you know.
But you're going to work, you didn't work last night, that's right, and you're not going to work tonight, are you?
Yeah, I'm not working tonight.
Okay, maybe you might want to tell some of your friends not to work as well.
No, because 4 teams tonight, I guess work.
4 teams, is it? 3 now though, eh?
Yeah.
This is the cat and mouse game that we play. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Doesn't see any issue with his activities here. You're waiting for?
New Year's evening.
You're waiting for New Year's evening? Yeah. Not in Westminster, you're not?
Which channel is that?
You know you can't get one over on us. Yeah. We're watching you all the time.
You're watching, everybody watching, following that, that's it. You know?
Take care, we'll see you later on. He's lost a lot of face right now.
But this isn't the moment for a chat. Mitch has received a call from one of his inspectors who's found another unlicensed food trolley.
We've got another one already, so excellent. Take me.
Just take the stop.
Step away. Yeah. Just get away from the van. Step away from the van. Move away. Move away.
The trouble is they do not have work permits and are getting desperate.
Yeah, we trying to make money. What job? Yeah, give me the paper to work. Give me the paper to work. I'm not allowed to work. Give me the paper to work.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to work in this country. Give me
the reason why you're not allowed to work.
The men come mostly from Turkey, and many of them are illegal immigrants.
We've got these aggressive little characters, yeah, but we're going to grind them down slowly but surely. They shouldn't be operating on the street like this. They are extremely desperate, they are being exploited, but desperate people take desperate measures.
Back in London, Covent Garden, it's 3 a.m. and Mitch is on the scent of more dangerous hot dogs.
One of the spotters is in the piazza, so we don't think he's far away, but Camden is only a matter of metres. So for them to get over to Camden is an easy feat, and we have no jurisdiction inside Camden.
As Mitch and his team move in, spotters tip off the hot dog trader, who makes a run for it, abandoning his trolley.
Okay, I need a vehicle, November 7. That's Kasim Sen again. On Muscle Street. I believe that his spotters might have seen us. He decided to hide, and we decided to flush him out.
It's been damp and dismal, but Mitch feels triumphant.
We've taken 3 trolleys already. This is absolutely fantastic from our point of view. There's nothing better than seeing the people that are coming to Westminster enjoying themselves and going home safely, and seeing the society you live in clean and tidy.
In Wolverhampton, restaurant inspectors John and Faye are revisiting a kebab shop to see if conditions have improved. They're here to find out if their earlier advice has been heeded.
Hiya, is it Mr. Anwar? Hiya, just from Environmental Health. You just do your routine inspection.
Johnny could close down this business, but it's the owner's livelihood that's at stake. He's got to be careful.
A lot of food businesses are afraid of environmental health officers, so I think it's always good to go in with a friendly, sort of helpful attitude. A lot of the time they think that we're just sort of telling them to do stuff for the sake of it, but if you try and explain the significance of that, let them know why it's important, they tend to respond more. So it's an ideal opportunity to get them on board and try and teach them something really. When you're doing your cleaning, don't forget your hand contact surfaces, okay? You can see here this sort of area of dirt and around the handle. Don't forget to clean areas like that. Hand contact surfaces are really important. That is the worst thing. So you're aware of that. Perhaps just tell your staff about it and get them to, when they're doing the cleaning, to make sure that they remember those areas, okay?
The owner knows his future is on the line, and when Johnny takes a closer look, that future looks in jeopardy.
So what we've got under the sink is we've got a container full of sort of festering water. I mean, it smells absolutely atrocious. It's going to be full of bacteria. That bacteria could then get onto food storage, food preparation equipment. So it's not acceptable at all.
Faye now makes a discovery that's shocking, even for someone with her experience.
Your seals are pretty, but they're hideous, aren't they? That's really, really dirty. This is probably one of the worst seals that I've seen. I've never really been able to scrape dirt off like that.
And the lack of proper hygiene doesn't end there.
We've got raw meat, above cooked items again in here. This is obviously something that has been raised on previous occasion. Your manager here, he's just said to me, every year we have an inspection and we're told that the raw meat's got to be at the bottom. Yet I'm not seeing it.
Johnny and Faye know they can't leave things as they are. This is serious.
There's still work to be done, so we might need to consider how the best way of getting those works done now, and that could mean enforcement action in this instance.
Back in Wolverhampton, the fate of the kebab shop hangs in the balance.
So does everything get delivered to you frozen, or is any of it chilled?
This could be a textbook example of how not to prepare food for public consumption.
I found these chopping boards on the shelf there. As you can see, they're in an absolutely atrocious condition. They're deteriorated, heavily scored and mouldy. I mean, these are atrocious. It just doesn't bear thinking about how much bacteria could be sort of lurking on these chopping boards. And we'll be taking these as evidence. One of the things the chap said is that money's a bit of a problem at the moment, and we're finding lots of businesses saying the same, you know, blaming the credit crunch and things.
Ah, yes, of course. It's all the fault of the overall economic situation.
Businesses still need to maintain hygienic conditions and comply with the law. It's our job to make things better, so hopefully by the time we finish with a food premises, it's safe for everybody to eat there.
But have the excuses run out?
There are some areas that still are outstanding from previous inspections, which means that more formal action will be taken. Improvement notices will be served.
She has explained me everything what I needed, and if I have anything wrong, she has explained me this is what you need to do, and I am very grateful to her.
For now, the kebabs will go on turning, but it's the customers' stomachs they've got to worry about. In Wolverhampton, there's big trouble in Little China when Johnny and Faye come calling. The two restaurant inspectors have come by appointment, but the manager of this Chinese restaurant is nowhere to be seen.
One thing we are sort of quite conscious of is we don't like to be kept waiting too long. Obviously we like to sort of arrive at the premises and get straight into the kitchen for obvious reasons, you know. Hi, my name's John, I'm from Environmental Health at the Council. We're just here at the premises to do a routine food hygiene inspection. I just spoke to the food business operator. He's actually currently in London at the moment, but we're still quite keen to get in, have a look around and make sure that sort of generally everything's okay.
Johnny and Faye get to work, or try to.
Do you speak any English? Do you speak English? Guess that's a no.
Undeterred, the inspectors begin their rounds.
Although perhaps we can't talk to anybody, we can still look around and kind of get a feel for what's happening at the premises.
It soon becomes clear that all is not well in the kitchen.
I've just been looking underneath the work surfaces, and there are quite significant accumulations of food debris.
And that's not all.
I've just been looking at the cleanliness of the flooring and walls underneath the deep fat fryers here, and it's really quite bad. There's a load of oil that's been spilt. They need to book up their ideas.
It's up to the inspectors to explain the problems and the dangers of substandard working practices.
Yeah, so you've got an antibacterial cleaning pocket. We'll try and find out where they're using it.
Johnny has a lot he wants to say.
Where do you guys use this? Where do you use it? Okay, where do you use this? So, if you were using that, where would you use it? On the table, okay. Would you spray that on here? No? What would you clean that with? Okay, not for equipment. Right.
But could his efforts be lost in translation?
Well, obviously the reason we're here is to protect public health and make sure that people's food is safe to eat. Well, when you're left with these sort of conditions, you do kind of think, well, you know, what's happening really? And I think the chap's gone away and nobody really knows what's going on.
Back in Wolverhampton, Johnny and Faye continue their inspection of the Chinese restaurant.
Have you got a cellar underground, underneath? Have you got a cellar?
Okay, yeah.
Have you got it? Yeah. Okay. After you, Faye. We'll send Faye down first in case there's anything scary.
The cellar holds a dark secret. It isn't long before Johnny sheds light on it.
Got an ice machine here, which the girl upstairs, I managed to ask her, you know, where they get the ice, and she did tell me that it's from the local supermarket. Well, it's clearly not. It's from this dirty ice machine, which is disappointing.
Dirty ice is as bad as dirty drinking water.
So you've got an ice machine downstairs?
I'm also here.
Ice machine.
Oh, sorry.
Did you not know that?
I don't know.
Faye is determined to probe deeper.
hot food should be maintained at or above 63 degrees. Now, if this has been sort of at 55 degrees for 3 hours, then it's not particularly safe. The boiled rice is even less. That's like 40, 44.
The products that we find to be under 63 degrees, we're going to be looking for those to be disposed of, really.
What do you normally do with these items?
Finished bean, yeah.
You throw them away.
Now it's a finished bean.
Do you make any checks here when it's on display?
It's 16, 5 or 17.
6. But do you check?
Yeah.
But the inspectors have their doubts.
Just coming for again and check.
So what time did you last use that probe?
Just half 1.
1:30.
Yeah.
So that was the last time?
Yeah.
Okay, and what temperature was it?
Temperature is 55.
55. And if it is 55, you should do something about it.
Okay.
So you didn't do anything about it today?
So I don't.
Okay.
Johnny's had enough for one day.
Well, basically, the staff haven't really got a clue as to what's going on.
When Faye reads the menu, another problem emerges.
Now, I noticed in the freezer that the crab claws, what they're offering as stuffed crab claws, there's actually no crab in them. It's like surimi, which is a crab substitute, and then it's surimi flavoured as crab. So they shouldn't really be advertising it as stuffed crab claws because it's misleading to the customer.
Frustrated, the inspectors can't reach a conclusion today.
Not good really at all, and we haven't actually asked any questions yet, just from sort of making observations and looking around. We're quite concerned really about food handling practices at this premises.
Sometimes when you eat out, it may be better not to see the kitchens. They can be a serious source of food poisoning. But our hard-working band of grime fighters don't have a choice. In Wolverhampton, Johnny and Faye, 2 restaurant inspectors, are on their way to check out a fish and chip shop.
Hiya. Oh, I'll check a few details with you first. Basically, I'll go through food handling practices.
Faye's going to be talking about handling practices, and I'm going to be kind of doing an assessment of the structure. I'll be looking to make sure that it's effectively proof against pests, that it's kept clean, and that equipment's clean and in good repair.
Johnny begins his search. The kitchen's not exactly spotless, but at least there's no sign of pests. It isn't long, though, before Johnny reveals a problem.
Okay, so that's a bit concerning. It looks like we've kind of got some potentially dried blood. Now, rather alarmingly, there's a cucumber. Yes, it's wrapped, sort of lying in the blood. That material there contains bacteria because it's from raw meat.
Oh, yeah, I know, but end of the day, some oil, everything, clean it.
You need to make sure that that doesn't come into contact with things like cucumber and tomatoes, because then we're going to have cross-contamination.
Johnny patiently explains the position, but it's not clear that his explanation is fully understood.
Because it's quite a major cause of food poisoning, and because of the risk there, I'm actually going to ask them to chuck that in the bin.
Meanwhile, Faye wants to check that they've been using the correct working practices.
So, apart from the sanitizer, what other cleaning products have you got? What other things do you use? The bleach. So where do you use the bleach?
On the floors.
Then the sanitizers on all your surfaces. Okay.
And correct working practices don't include a freezer doubling as a dustbin.
Have these kebabs been cooled down after cooking? These ones, look, these have already been on the spit, haven't they?
Now show when it is the waters come in the meats. Just throw out tomorrow.
Well, why is it in the freezer if you're going to throw it out?
This is smelling outside there. This is lot smelling.
But what's better, to have a bad smell outside or contaminate the food that you're going to serve to customers?
Despite the owner's excuses, it seems that food which should be in the bin could be being sold to customers.
What is that? Is that fish scraps,
yes,
is it?
Yeah. Some take them out. This one's an all of the bin today. Tomorrow come in bins and everything.
See, how long have you had all that for?
All weeks.
I think it's more important that you get them straight in the bin, okay?
It soon becomes clear that this little shop is full of horrors.
This is some equipment that they use to slice cucumber and tomato. That hasn't been washed very recently, has it? No.
The owner claims he doesn't use it.
If you don't use it and it's dirty, why don't you throw it in the bin? You're going to wash it up because you use it? Yeah, okay. You try to offer him some advice and assistance, and he tries just to sort of rubbish it, if you like, by saying he hasn't had time. I mean, you know, it's just little things that perhaps indicate that they're not cleaning as thoroughly and as regularly as they should.
The restaurant is far from perfect, but Johnny and Faye have decided that this is not the moment for sudden and drastic action.
There needs to be some improvements, so a revisit will happen in a couple of months.
For the thousands of professionals keeping us filth-free around the country, the job of the restaurant inspectors is surely one of the most important for our public well-being. Here in Wolverhampton, John and Faye's daily job is to make sure that behind the welcoming facade of the multitude of restaurants, the public are as safe as they can be from possible bad food hygiene in the kitchens. Today is a surprise visit to an Indian restaurant that in the past has become a regular haunt.
The premises has been a problem in the past, but I believe they may be under new proprietorship, so their past history wouldn't necessarily be taken into consideration. The worst that could happen is that we find sort of rodent activity, either rats or mice, and if we can determine that it's an active infestation, then the premises would be shut down.
After politely gaining entry, John and Faye can now go about their inspection. First impressions of the kitchen, however, don't look that good.
The kitchen looks very cluttered, and ideally you wouldn't have clutter in the kitchen. You want to be able to have a food premises which is easy to keep clean. One of the major problems with too much clutter in a kitchen is that you're not able to easily identify rodent activity. One of the things we sort of look for is if there's food lying around at room temperature. Obviously food needs to be kept under temperature control conditions to ensure that the particular problem with rice is that rice, you actually get spores forming in rice, and the problem is you can't kill those spores, okay, and they'll actually produce a toxin, and no amount of reheating would actually remove that toxin from the food. So we'd be looking for them to be keeping food in the fridge under temperature controlled conditions, and in particular foods like rice.
Very quickly, the threat of toxins from room temperature rice pale into insignificance with another of John's discoveries.
One problem I've just found, I've looked in a large container of rice here, and unfortunately what we've got is a screw, a large masonry screw, which is obviously something you don't want to see in rice, and would be particularly unpleasant if that ended up on someone's plate. But it doesn't really bear thinking about what would happen if that got into somebody's mouth. So I'm pleased I found it really, rather than a diner.
After the extra ingredient in the rice, the poppadom cupboard is next on the agenda.
I can see that they've got a cabinet here which they're using to keep foods warm. Again, minor cleaning issues. You know, there's accumulation there of food. Perhaps hasn't been cleaned for a while. Things like poppadoms, they're a ready-to-eat food, so it's really important that they're protected against any source of contamination. So perhaps cleaning appears to be an issue.
With the storage of the rice and the poppadoms already conspiring against the proprietor, let's just hope things are set to improve. In Wolverhampton, restaurant inspectors John and Faye are continuing their unannounced inspection of the local Indian restaurant. Already they found a masonry screw in a bucket of rice, and the poppadom cupboard didn't get the thumbs up. It looks like things might be getting even worse, with a good look at a chopping board.
Another sort of issue I've found is the condition of this chopping board. Okay, as you can see, heavily scored, and there's even sort of mould accumulation. Now the problem with heavily scored chopping boards is that the scores will harbour bacteria, and once a chopping board's got into this sort of condition, as you can see it's quite sort of porous, you can't keep it clean. Pretty unpleasant really. So this chopping board is good for the bin.
General cleanliness of a kitchen can tell a lot about how it's run and how the staff are dealing with more serious issues like cross-contamination of food. Consequently, John is always eager to check in the darkest recesses of an establishment. The floors under the worktops need cleaning every 3 days. A quick look with the torch will reveal all.
What I can sort of see under here is that there's an accumulation of food debris. It's important to distinguish between what's from today and what's been there for a while. And I can see from looking at here that some of this has been here for quite some time. For example, there's what appears to be a rotten potato. It just shows that, you know, somebody's not taken a brush to the floor.
Not only are the kitchen staff seemingly not sweeping under the cabinets, Faye has now discovered even the most rudimentary cleanliness can't really be achieved.
When did the soap run out? Did you not want to buy any more soap? No. Okay. You're happy with the fairy liquid? Okay.
John is also finding out that the lack of hand soap isn't the only problem when it comes to the washing up.
We've got a container being used for storage of cleaning equipment. Now, as you can see, you know, you probably can't smell it. We've got cleaning cloths which are just in an atrocious state, really, covered in food debris, in a poor condition. If you're using something to clean, it's obviously got to be clean. You can't clean with dirty equipment. Also here, we've got a colander, which obviously they've done a bit of a DIY job on it. You can see where they've drilled the holes bigger. Now what that's actually left behind is sharp metal shards which could come off into food and again end up on somebody's plate. So again, that's the sort of equipment that just needs to go in the bin.
John and Faye have finished their inspection of the Indian restaurant. They found that the establishment's cleaning of kitchen equipment and surfaces isn't up to scratch, and also more attention needs to be paid to cross-contamination in the fridge. John and Faye always allow time for proprietors to put things right, so for the time being, the restaurant is getting a stay of execution.
I was just explaining that we're probably going to revisit in about a month's time because there's a few cleaning issues and cleaning has been an issue in the past, but the proprietor isn't here at the moment, so I've just obtained his contact telephone number, his mobile, and I'm going to speak to him and then do a revisit in about a month.
For all the inspectors, it's not so much about being heavy-handed and closing food businesses down. It's about educating the cultural mix of eateries in Wolverhampton about the British laws they have to comply with, but at the same time making sure that the inspectors are fully aware of what all the diverse religions in the city require.
We also try and sort of keep abreast of different sort of religions and what they eat and their beliefs, so we're not sort of trying to ask them to do something which is totally against their religion and their beliefs, really.
And with over 500 restaurants and 300 takeaways in Wolverhampton alone, it's a constant balance that John and Faye relish.